KnoItAllz Nation, thanks for tapping in for the Saturday morning discussion with your boy Tate, the JAG2G guys. Except today, there's no 2G. Our boy Rory, he's a wrestling coach after football season. They had a big tournament this morning out there in Texas, so he's busy coaching his wrestling squad. Steven got caught up. He's going to try and make it. Just text me a minute ago. That's why we're running about 10 minutes behind, but, we'll be out here by the time college football kicks off. But, yeah, we got a special guest today, man. I'm going to introduce him. He has his own podcast. We'll let him tell you about it. Fee, what's up, Fee? Thanks for tapping in. Be sure to tap in tomorrow. We got all our Steelers stuff, the 2-minute warning, the regular KnoItAllz show. So tap in tomorrow, Fee. It's good to see you as always. Thanks for stopping by. But, yeah, man, got a guest. I'll let him tell you about himself. Field Goals podcast for the focus-driven athlete. We'll bring him in right now, introduce him. He's going to talk to us about today's topic. We're talking about the influencing of the influencer, how sports and athletes now are like at the intersection of athletes are taking the game and close the gap between the game and globalization. I mean, think about all the different sports we do everywhere and just the reach athletes have. But we'll get into it. But first, I want to bring in our special guest this week, and we'll probably see him a lot more in the future as we go forward. My boy Glenn.
Yeah, what up, Kevin?
Glenn, what's up, man? Welcome to the show. Definitely appreciate having you, man. Thanks for tapping in with us this morning.
Man, thanks for inviting me. Yeah,
no doubt, man. Everybody, let's hear it for Glenn.
Man, I appreciate you making me feel like a superstar up on here, man.
Nah, man, I'm looking for my clap sound effect. Everybody, let's hear it for Glenn. I kind of got to have that ready before I say everybody, let's hear it from, and I can't find it. Then it's like you didn't get your cheers you deserve. But Glenn, what's up, man? We've known each other for a long time now, man. You doing your thing. You used to live up here in the DC area. You still visit. You got family up here living for a long time. You got different ventures going on and stuff, man. Tell us a little bit about yourself before we get started into our discussion, man.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And Kevin, let me just first start off saying, hey, look, I'm a fan of what you put together, you and your team, man. I can appreciate everything that you're doing for the culture of sports, for the athletes themselves, man, whether it's, amateur or professional. I think what you guys got going on is phenomenal. So I am honored to be a part of your audience, your community. I'm honored, man, to be a part of this podcast, man. And I'm definitely looking forward to being a guest a little bit more frequently. I know we're both busy, but I love what you're doing, man. So salute to you and your team, man, for putting together, man, just a phenomenal platform.
Thank you, man. Definitely appreciate it, man. We worked hard. Yeah. It's a slow grind, but it's a grind. At the end of the day, when you're doing something that you enjoy and you're passionate about, it never seems like work. You just having fun while you're doing it. So definitely appreciate it, man. It takes a collective. So shout out to
for sure.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, Rob what's up, man?
I definitely know about that. I'm a one-man pony right now.
Yeah, man.
But very similar to what you do, man. Just to give your audience, man, just a quick oversight. Yeah, I am the founder of the My Field Goals platform and the host of Field Goals for the Focus Driven Athlete podcast. We're a little bit more unique because our focus is to help the elite amateur athlete achieve their on and off the field athletic goals. So what does that specifically mean? Kevin, you know that there are high school athletes that have the talent to be able to play at the next level. And the next level, I mean, is collegiate sports. And I don't care if you're Division I, Division II, Division III, JUCO, HBCU, 1AA, it doesn't matter. If you are and you have the skills, the talent, the education to play in college, you, to me, are an elite athlete. I played high school sports. I was very good at it, very competitive, loved to win, but I did not have the talent to still play at the next level in college. So that's why we want to focus on that high school athlete that does have the skill set to be able to transition effectively over into college. And when you're in college for those 4 or 5 years, if you have the talent to play professionally, we want to be that platform to help you take your skill set level, your knowledge to that next level to play professionally as well, right? So how we achieve our mission is that we partner a lot with industry experts, those people that are in the business of sports. So the people at Wasserman, ING, NCAA, we bring them in. We bring in the coaches. We bring in former professional athletes, right, that have played at the highest level of sports. And we go even all the way as high as Olympians to be able to talk about tips and strategies and those nuances that will help those amateur elite athletes gain a competitive edge, both either on the field of court or off the field of court. Okay. So think of us kind of as an ecosystem, right? We don't necessarily always know what the need of that amateur athlete is because everybody's journey is different. But what we do know is that there are some overlaps that are important to student athletes today, right? So one, how do I talk to coaches? Right? What do I say? How do I market myself? How do I navigate in this space of NIL literacy? And that means either understanding my contract. How do I, secure an agent? How do I manage my money? How do I balance, academics and athletics? How do I successfully transition to college? How do I successfully transition to the pros? We even touch on the mental health space. Okay. So when life happens, or when you hang up the cleats of that jersey for the last time, we recognize that there are athletes that go through post-athletic depression. We want to help them manage that. We want to help athletes find their fit. Okay, even if you have something lined up for you after your collegiate year or after your professional career, what we hear all the time from athletes is that one, they miss the locker room camaraderie, but two, they just don't know how to transition back into what I call normal life. And that's why you hear the term NARP, a normal athletic regular person, a non-athletic regular person, and that can be very deliberating for a lot of these athletes. And I equate it to someone who retires and you're in the system for so long that you have your own routine. Now you don't even know what to do with yourself. So we want to help with that process too, right? And there are other topics that we discuss as well, but we have found that our platform helps with the journey. We don't ever want to leave an athletics journey just to chance, right? If I'm a parent, you never want to just leave it up to the high school coach to determine what your son or your daughter's athletic journey is going to look like. So we want to be that playbook that you can open up and then you can find all the answers to the questions that you may have. So think of us as that particular entity that you can find that the resources that you will need in order to help you have a successful athletic journey.
Man, all sounds interesting. And it's convoluted now, right? It's a lot more than just going to school, playing the game that you played, that you got scholarship for,
right?
Getting into your dorm, getting your list of class, and getting your books, and that's it. That's all, right?
Right.
I mean, that's what it used to be back in our day, which was a while ago, right?
A long time ago.
Time ago.
Yeah.
But and as we transition from that, and we talked backstage, there needs to be more financial literacy for the student populace in general, but then also all these different avenues with the branding and the NIL and the marketing and advertising yourself and stuff like that. Because we were talking backstage, I said, it's like, you remember Jay-Z's old rap song, I'm not a businessman. I'm a businessman, because you are your own business, and you need to know how to maintain a reputable business. That means you probably need training and PR training and handling questions, how to present yourself and stuff like that. Because every time you step in on the athletic between the lines, no matter what venue it is, what sports venue it is, what game you're playing, you're representing yourself, and then when you come off between the lines, you're representing your business also.
Mm-hmm.
So when you are your own business, everything you do is a representation of your business.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, and young people probably do need a little bit of polish and training with some of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I can imagine that is a great avenue to go down, and you probably, seeing early success. You've been doing it a while, but it can only get bigger because it's only more
Right.
necessary as we continue to evolve as a culture, but more importantly, as we're talking about specifically a sports culture.
Right. I mean, the landscape of college sports, man, or just sports in general, is just changing so rapidly, and it's getting younger and younger. So now it's bleeding over into high school athletes, and that's why we are focused on that 10th, 11th, 12th grader that's taking it seriously. And I always tell parents, man, like if you're an athlete, male or female, right,
to interrupt you real quick, for context, real quick, I think it's fair to say you have a son that played Division I college football, so you've been there as a parent. Tell us a little bit about that experience too, man.
Absolutely. He's actually the reason why I do what I do. If it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't be doing this, because I was a parent. I was a single parent, Kevin, that, raising him up in Washington, D.C. I had no clue of how to be able to help him navigate that journey. When he was in middle school, right? The elite high school.
Shout out to the little homie Channing, man.
Yeah, shout out to Channing, right? When he was in middle school, man, he had DeMatha, he had Good Counsel, he had Gonzaga, he had all the big high schools coming to check him out when he was in middle school. And then we had to navigate that process of trying to help him find his fit. He ended up going to Bishop O'Connell, did very well there. And then that last year, we went over to St. Francis in Baltimore for a lot of different reasons, right? And he had two really good high school coaches. So my high school experiences with his coaches were great. They had deep knowledge of how to help their kids get to the next level. They had a deep Rolodex of college coaches that they were introducing us to, but I still didn't just want to put it in their hands. And so I had to become a quick study. In order for me to do that, I networked and found people in the area that had either their kids had gone to the highest level or themselves played at the highest level. I mean, professional. And they gave me the blueprint of what to do, what to say, where to go, how to do it, and along with partnering with their high school coaches. So that's how I did it. And he ended up playing football at Marshall University, did very well. You and I went up there to a couple of games, man. He was a two-time College Bowl MVP, set, some of the sack records, quarterback sack records at Marshall, did very well. So I also had to learn, how do I help him make it to the pros? I had no idea. And I didn't want to leave it up just to Marshall. Unfortunately, he graduated during COVID. That was bringing him in to stop that process, unfortunately. And we lost about 2 or 3 years of momentum because everything just went virtual. And unfortunately, Kevin, we weren't prepared. We didn't have a lot, access to film from Marshall. You know what I mean? When you're talking to the pros, they don't care about what you did in high school. They don't really care too much about what you did your freshman and sophomore year, unless you're showing some levels of progression. But what they're focusing on primarily is what you did that your junior and mostly your senior year. I know you guys are a big fan of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and Alex Highsmith. I know his dad very well because they grew up in the Wilmington, North Carolina area. Alex,
in your hometown,
Channing,
right?
Yeah, Wilmington, North Carolina, my hometown. So, home of the greatest basketball player that ever played the game, Michael Jordan, Michael Jeffrey Jordan, right?
We'll get there. I know you went to the same high school. We hear it all the time. Go ahead.
I throw that in there. But no, my point though is that Alex went to UNC Charlotte, as you know, 0-star athlete, balled out, Kevin. He balled out his junior and senior year. He and my son were both all-team defense, first-team defense for Conference USA. That's back when Marshall and UNC Charlotte was playing in Conference USA, right? 1 and 2. Alex had great numbers his senior year for a pass rusher. Marshall had moved my son over to inside-outside defensive tackle, right? Still good numbers. He didn't have. Alex Finn got 15 quarterback sacks that year for UNC Charlotte. Channing probably only had a total at Marshall about 16 or 17 quarterback sacks, which is still great, as you know, for a defensive tackle. Okay, tackles don't get that much, quick
Right.
QB sacks, right? But the difference is that, Alex being the pass rusher was able to get that in one season. Channing got that in cumulative. And so that kind of hurt. And that and UNC Charlotte did a very good job of marketing that for Alex. And that's when Alex got the invitations to go to like the Reese's Senior Bowl, and from there to the NFL Combine. We had and so even during the COVID year, right, Alex was still able to work out for the NFL and go to the Combine and then get drafted. And the rest is history. He's in his 6th year with the Pittsburgh Steelers now.
Just recently, the AFC Defensive Player of the Week, like not this past week before.
Yes.
And I'll say this from my experience, just in knowing football and knowing how some of this stuff work, man. Just like if you know anything about marketing and advertising, it's about the 3 Ps, positioning and profit. I can't remember. So long since I worked.
Promotion.
Promotion. Yeah, there you go. There you go. I'm 5 years now out the work game.
Yeah, promotion, product processing, something like that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But on the football field, it's about either one of 3 things: potential, performance, or production. That's what they're looking at. Like you said, they don't really care about your high school tape. They don't so much care about your early years. What have you done for me lately?
Right.
And that's what they're looking at. And Alex, like you say, 15 sacks his last year, opportunities to play in front of these scouts and stuff in some of these different bowls, getting invited to the Combine, even if it's a regional Combine. I don't remember if he went to the
he went to the National Combine.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So getting those opportunities and stuff like that, and you parlay him into something bigger. He went in the 3rd round to the Steelers, but it's because of what he is able to put on tape, put on film his last year.
Right. We didn't have access to that. And unfortunately, though, every agent was like, "Hey, man, your son is balling out." What got
and Channing has
not necessarily always his numbers. When Marshall, say again?
No, you were kind of choppy for a second. I was just saying, and Channing has, or when he played, had, I mean, all the we'll say potential and prototype, right? Prototype, like 6'5", 285, like literally.
Yeah.
I remember when he was, 10, 11, 12 years old, that age range.
Right.
Remember that year him and Drea went to summer camp together.
Right.
We saw each other quite a bit. He's like 12 years old.
Right.
But man, that dude grew, man.
He grew, right. Look, I remember I brought him over to your house. We watched the Super Bowl together a couple of times.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
but you're right. Well, that's what, that's what college would do for you. I mean, the growth that he had between high school, when he came back home his freshman year or sophomore year, his body had completely transformed from high school. When he got to college. I mean, they packed muscle on him, they packed more weight on him and everything. But here's the thing: when he was training for the NFL, his body went through another metamorphosis. He didn't look the same in college that he did when he was training for the NFL.
Right.
And he was down in Atlanta with Chuck Smith, who is now with the Baltimore Ravens, training with them. But he was down in Atlanta training with Chuck Smith, one of the best, pass rushers in the NFL, who had his own camp. I mean, everybody was down there. All the big name pass rushers and defensive players was training with Chuck Smith down in Atlanta right before the COVID shutdown. And so that's where he was. But again, we just didn't have access to the film. So it was a mad scramble to get a lot of his videos, man, to the NFL. And then once everything shut down, he didn't get picked up to go to one of the like the big time senior bowls, and that's where a lot of the scouts are. That's where the networking takes place. And that's where the invitation takes place to get to the NFL Combine. That's a whole process. We're going to actually do a show on that as well, because I don't think a lot of athletes, and I know a lot of parents, don't understand the process of how to get your son or daughter to play professionally. That's the business that we don't understand, that we got to get educated on, because it is just like it is literally you finding a job. So think about the process of finding a new job. You go on LinkedIn, you go on Indeed, or you go into these new AI software type of platforms, and you write your cover letter and you upload it, and then you got the interview. It's almost virtually the same. It's just different nuances. That's those senior bowls, and there's more than one, but those senior bowls, I mean, that your play in college is your resume, obviously. When you get to the senior bowls and you're playing that, and it doesn't matter the sport, whether it's senior bowls for for basketball or for baseball, softball, track and field, or football, right? That is your time to network. Number one, you and your agent got to be out there networking and talking to other players, talking to other agents, and talking to those scouts. And then when you get in that game, even if it's for a few minutes, you got to ball out. You got to really show, even if you don't make a play, you got to show that this person has potential. Okay. And then you get that invitation. When you get that invitation to them combines, those national combines, or even regional combines, man, that is your opportunity, man. That is your chance to shine. And so that's another layer. That's your third interview. You also got to perform at your when your school brings you back for like pro day. Okay, so a lot of the professional teams come back to your college.
Super big, yeah.
Yeah, your pro day, you got to ball out. Unfortunately, and it didn't have a good pro day. That pro day, or you on your combine, dude, that's like having a solid resume. And you get to the interview and you fumbling. You're fumbling your answers. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
you got to still be prepared, man. I mean, it doesn't mean that you can't still get the job, but your stock value is going to go down.
Right. That part.
It's going to go down. It's going to be like, boy,
And they're so critical now. I mean, like you're a football player, but when football season over with, you train for the combine.
That's what you're doing.
Two totally different things. My brother-in-law's a track coach. My brother-in-law's a track coach. He coaches athletes to help them prepare for the 40-yard dash.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So they can have a good 40 time, because that is so critical in the evaluation process, whether it translates to the field or not. Whether in game you're a 4.4, but if you put that 4.5 on at the combine, you're not getting paid for the 4.4 that the tape say.
Right.
That 4.5 gonna stick with you from the combine.
That's right. It's just like a job interview, man. Look, you do what you got to do to get the job. Okay. Once you get the job, then you still got to perform. Obviously, you got to perform, or you're going to get fired, or you're going to get cut.
Right.
But you do whatever it takes for you to get the job. Once you get the job, then you got to do what you got to do in order to stay there. And that means you got to perform. And, obviously there's a learning curve. Obviously, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to have some failures. That's okay. That's expected. But you can't stay there. You got to still work, The issue is that you got to perform in that interview. And the interview for sports is your combine, your pro day. You see
your workout with a
your
team.
Workout. Yeah. Because every senior gets a chance to, if you're interested in playing professionally, you get an opportunity to play in front of these professional scouts. Okay. So like, I know.
Shout out Afton. Thanks for joining us. Go ahead.
I know a couple of even Channing's teammates. And Channing, you talking about a kid that was the leader of the defensive team, right? His junior, senior year, right? There were kids there were some of his teammates, right, that were good, but not great, but good. But they balled out during the combine, man. They balled out during the pro day. And they got picked up. They got picked up. You see what I'm saying? And so
Yeah,
that just shows you, man, you know, you got to perform during your interview.
no doubt. Like I mean, like when looking for a job, you don't know if this company is going to hire you, but you need to be prepared to show that company your best. So you study
Right.
about the company, you learn about
Right.
whatever the company does. The different type of things they're involved in and their core value structure. You learn about the company because when you go to that interview, you want to be prepared. Translates over to anything you do. We're
Right.
talking about sports specifically, but anything you do.
Anything
But
you do,
man,
man.
this is a perfect transition point. Our boy Steven has entered the building, back in the building. Steven Glenn. We'll talk backstage. You guys get to know each
Hey,
other
hey,
more formally. Steven, turn your mic down just a little bit, bro.
good there.
Yeah, that's better. Thank you. But yeah, man, thanks for making it. If you're not early, you late. So you super late
Oh
today.
yeah, I'm late. I'm late. It's on me. I'll take the fine. I'll take the fine. It's on me. But it's not an excuse. But when Mama asks for something, my brain get messed up, and
Hey, man,
I throw out all the
I I
other obligations and stuff.
I
Yeah.
completely get it, man. And
Right.
and we talking about performances and jobs and stuff. We used to work together at one time. But when you're not gonna make it on time, you call and say, I ain't
Oh
gonna
yeah.
make it on
Oh
time.
no, that's what I'm saying, man. I completely had lost track. I was sitting there telling my mother, I was like, "Yeah, we starting at 12," because my brain had locked in on what we did last week. I wasn't even thinking about Kevin. I was sitting there talking to my mom. I had like I said, I completely had lost track of time. She had me putting stuff together, mom stuff. She's like, "Hey, can you put something together for me?" So yeah.
Right. Okay. No, I
Yeah.
get it, man. We here now. We talked about Glenn in this podcast for you to learn about it. And we'll have Glenn on more in the future, man. He's a real sharp dude. Our premise is I'm just a guy, right? But I like to talk to you people that in my circle that I view as really, really smart guys, man, and just get different perspectives on stuff, man. So what we're gonna talk about today's topic, and you're just in time for this, Steven, because we've been talking about what Glenn's doing and his footprint in the industry he's working in, really kind of a trailblazer in it, man. Since this, because it's really just became a thing since this whole in the inception of the NIL and stuff like that, that's become more prevalent that these student athletes need this kind of training and information and stuff, right? So, man, I can really appreciate the journey he's taking and the information and knowledge he's bringing and passing along to young people and parents alike. But today's show, our topic we're going to talk about for the next half hour or so is, man, sports athletes and influence, right? And I'll get the discussion started, man, just with some notes I took. Put my notes up. Okay, so like I'll just read this. Athletes began to become more influential during the 1920s. This is known as the golden age of sports, right? Athletes like Babe Ruth and stuff like that. You're hearing about athletes more. The games are getting bigger. Fans are liking to go to, at that time, baseball was America's pastime. That was the biggest thing. Their influence grew significantly in the 50s with the rise of television. So now we're getting games on TV and stuff, right? At that time, so with the popularity and the access of the television, the games became more visible, therefore athletes became more visible. Then you have the era of the 50s through 80s considered a TV era. Athletes became more famous, viable, with more opportunities for endorsement deals. And endorsement deals were really big at that time. When we were growing up, Glenn's favorite guy ever, athlete, Michael Jordan. And I think, I think I give him all kudos, all props, and all thanks to Mike Jordan for opening up those floodgates. You had guys getting money for wearing certain brands and stuff, but not Jordan took it to another level and let these guys see how to really do it. Just like the decade before that, Kurt Flood baseball, St. Louis Cardinals. He's the reason guys have free agency, that they can feel free to choose where I want to play, where I want to live. Once you honor your contract, you're open up to do what you want to do as a hired gun, if that's what you want to be. As a worker, take your family where you want to go, live where you want to live, play where you want to play, if that city, that team wants you. But now we're in a place, and if you tell me, Glenn, I know you may, Steven, you probably do too, because you're pretty up on things. You guys remember this 1990s commercial.
I am not a role model. I'm not paid to be a role model.
That Nike Charles Barkley ad.
Yeah, I remember that one.
I remember.
Yeah. Go ahead, Steven. Yes, I'm saying.
No, I was that just brings back a lot of memories from that. No, just because like that was a really special time. Basketball was becoming what it is today. Then it really happened during, like you said, during that Jordan era. Those commercials are iconic to me, almost all of them, because I'll dive into it later. But all of that stuff is like really nostalgic.
The things that are iconic is perspective, right? It depends on where you are and what you're seeing where you're at. To me, the iconic commercials are the Michael Jordan Spike Lee commercials. Those are iconic in my perspective.
Which is wild because for me, because I'm a little bit younger than you, the real iconic commercials for me were the Penny Hardaway ones. The little Penny, the Chris Rock ones.
Yeah, those are great commercials.
Like those. And then for me, of course, And1 was pretty huge. So all of those, the And1 Nike collabs were insane. But yeah, you don't have any of that. You don't have
which one of you guys got the buzz in the background?
I don't think that's me.
Yeah, I don't have a buzz, babe. Or maybe you might hear my computer. My fan is on.
Okay, that could be it. Go ahead. What you were saying, Steven? I'm sorry.
No, all I was saying was you don't have any of those the famous Nike And1 commercial with all the And1 ballers and all the real crazy handlers from the NBA. You don't ever have that commercial if guys like Jordan and Barkley don't build that up for you. And that's all I was kind of hearkening to, is that the 90s were really special for the NBA. The NBA was becoming the league that it is now during the 90s.
Yeah. Well, I think that is
all
in anything. Go ahead, Glenn.
I think what you guys are saying is all true. But for me as a kid, before those commercials, if you guys remember, we had posters. And the posters were our commercial. The famous poster that stuck with me as a child was George Gervin, the Iceman, sitting on the blocks of ice with that sweatsuit, crosses his legs, and palming 2 silver ice cold basketballs. That's what did it for me. Nike did a hard campaign, man, to transform from being known as a running shoe to an athletic shoe. Mm-hmm. And they started bringing in those athletes. I can remember some of the football players. Can't remember the names, but I can remember the posters, man. Those guys, man, with the pads on, the fire in the background, you know what I mean? On posters that you put up in your wall. Yeah, but the George Gervin one to me was iconic. The Bird and Magic posters, man, they were iconic.
Claude say he still got that Iceman poster. Claude the OG in the building. Claude, you telling your age when you say you got that poster, bro.
It's vintage now.
But yeah, no, Glenn, I'm with you. I mean, then that's another way to look at it. Because my room and we're the same age. I mean, I remember one time we were at the at the Georgetown Villanova game. Remember we was in the box and you were talking about
that's right.
You were talking about Villanova sucks. I said, man, dude, Villanova's like the number 1 team in the nation, and we were sitting in the box with a whole bunch of Villanova people. And they looked at Glenn like, dude,
that's right. I forgot about that. Like, you're right.
Yeah, I mean, but yeah, man. Those posters and stuff, it depends. Again, it's perspective, but yeah, I had them too. But and that Jordan poster I got out the Wheaties box with the graffiti background.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, man. So the evolution of the athlete, back finishing up so we can get our discussion completely started. So the 80s and 2000s, cable TV and international networks allow athletes to become global stars. So that phase from the 80s to 2000s became a globalization of the game, right? I mean, we can think back to the 80s and 90s. I mean, in the NBA is the best players in the NBA now are foreign players, all of them. You want to talk about SGA, you want to talk about Luka, you want to talk about Wemby, you want to talk about Giannis, whoever you want to talk about, the best players in the NBA are foreign. I say right now.
Is Steph no longer one of the best players in the NBA?
It's transition now. I mean,
I know he's older, but I still think he's balling at a best player in NBA level talent, in my opinion. Steph only, maybe not the whole team, but
best player is what you can do for me consistently. Steph is not consistently who he was 10 years ago. Steph, still a great player. You know, what's that Toby Keith song? I might not be as great as I once was, but once I can be great as I ever was.
So look, I'm not trying to like stand for Steph. I just think that he's still performing at a really high level.
He is. And LeBron averaged 25, 8, and 8 last year per his regular, but he still can't do what he used to do.
He's not right. I agree. LeBron is not the player he used to be. He's not. It's like, you know, I think LeBron is aging better than most players of his caliber that I've seen age.
And LeBron is older than you, bruh.
So, well, I understand that, but I'm trying to give him a compliment because I hate this guy. Remember that. I do not like LeBron. I'm a Wizards fan. So, but all I'm saying, I'm just defending Steph Curry. I'm just saying I think the brother is still balling. I think Steph Curry's a top 20 player. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, he is a top 20 player, definitely right now. But I said the best of the best.
Well, yeah,
the guys are named.
That's guys SGA,
Giannis, Luka, SGA, Wemby.
They're all foreign. Yeah, they're all foreign.
All foreign. Didn't he say Joker?
He said Joker. Yeah, Joker probably the best player in the league, and
what I'm saying is, the globalization of the game started with, whether we remember it or not, and Glenn will remember, the Dream Team. The Dream Team took that show on the road globally around the world, playing exhibition games, beating up basketball. Michael Jordan, you know, basketball became such a huge phenomenon across the world that these young people were inspired by the Dream Team. They took up basketball 35 years ago culturally in all these different countries and places, that now the world is smaller and the game is bigger though, right? I mean, these athletes, these kids, they're I mean, not even the kids we see now. I mean, SGA is 27. He wasn't even alive when Dream Team 2 was playing.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, you know, so now we're currently in the digital era, right? The digital era is the social media. And that gives these guys, athletes, not guys, women too. I mean, let me not seem like I don't respect the women's game, because I definitely do. That they just have so much influence and a platform with social media. If you count up all their account, like LeBron has a reach of like 210 million people with all his different social media. I think it's the highest among American athletes, like Messier and some of these different foreign soccer players and stuff like that have a way bigger range. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but
Ronaldo probably has the biggest. Ronaldo,
I think he does.
Probably has the biggest in the world, and then right behind him is probably the guy who plays for Madrid. Oh my God, I can't think of
Messi.
Neymar.
Not Neymar.
Oh, Neymar. Right.
Nah, the young boy, guys. The Afro Hispanic dude. His mom is Spanish and his father's like Haitian or something like that. Oh my God! He used to play for PSG. And he signed with Madrid, Real Madrid like 2 years ago. Oh my God! I can't. Mbappe.
Oh no, I don't know him.
The man.
I'm not familiar with him, but I believe if you say it.
Yeah.
But I mean, I know on the list of social media, LeBron's the highest American, number 5 overall. So maybe that the kid you talking about that plays for Real Madrid is in that 1 to 4. But the guy you just said is number 1.
Ronaldo,
yeah.
Ronaldo, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
So with that, man, I mean, just all these different avenues, the popularity, the the shrinking of the world, not, you know, in that perspective. I mean, these players, athletes, have so much more influence and so much more reach that they at one time wouldn't put their name and voice to things, but now they do. And I think we live in a society and culture now where it's appreciated, right? More so than it probably would have been 30 years ago when you stayed out of that stuff, because like you know, Michael Jordan once said, you know, Democrats, Republicans both buy sneakers. It's true. I get it. You know what I mean?
Just buy sneakers too.
Yeah. But I think now it's being allowed because, you know, athletes are told, like, what's the Fox News person?
Laura Breitbart.
Yeah.
Laura Breitbart. Yeah.
They told LeBron to shut up and dribble.
Yep.
You know, all that stuff. But now athletes have transitioned past that space. Let me see. Rob Lightfoot's comment. Steven, can you read it for us, man?
Fellas, who fleeced the NFL for more than Brian Bosworth position? Linebacker, 6'2", 248, college, Oklahoma, high school, MacArthur, Texas, drafted by Seattle Seahawks, first round, first overall. I think Brian Bosworth is an interesting. He definitely fits into this conversation for sure, but from a different angle, I think, especially like. Well, I want to piggyback off of what Tate said. For one thing, I want to say that when we talk about the influence that players have now, I think that they had that influence back in Jordan's era when players are starting to become celebrities. But because there was no platform or avenue for a person to speak directly to their audience, these leagues and corporations were able to control that person's image and message really, really like acutely. Like with Jordan, where you really didn't know who this man was until long after he stopped playing and people started writing books and stuff about him. You know what I mean? So I think now the big difference is, you know, Twitter is owned by Elon Musk, but like a lot of social media platforms are kind of neutral in terms of their political standing because all they care about is making money. So they're really for whoever's in charge because all they want to do is make money. So they're not in a business of policing what people say or do. So now players have a lot of agency and they can kind of buck whatever the league or team that they play for. They can buck whatever their rules are because no one's going to stop them from getting on Facebook or Instagram and saying the stuff that they want to say. I think it's interesting that we're having this conversation now because I think the biggest thing that's changed is they don't have control over the players. And there are a couple of guys that I'd like us to discuss specifically. One is Ja Morant, and the other is the late great Kobe Bryant. Because I think it's interesting, specifically when you talk about Kobe, because Kobe was one of the faces of the league during the time where social media started to become, started to permeate through all of society, and he was a guy who pretty much resisted it for the entirety of his career, So, he was real selective about how much of himself he put out there, I think. Would anybody do? Yeah. So where you saw even players that he played with, like Garnett was somebody who embraced becoming a part of the social movement. And Garnett, as soon as Garnett retired, he was on ESPN. He was out there, on podcasts and stuff like that, being a guest. So I think it's interesting, his approach to it. And then when you fast forward where you have maybe a perfect example of the negative effects of the social effect on players in sports with Ja Morant, where you have a guy who is essentially, a suburban kid who's been really good at basketball his whole life. And online, he kind of portrays his persona as like a thug. And he's like kind of like that persona kind of blends into reality. I think he's a perfect example of all of the negative effects of that becoming of social media and social currency becoming a part of sports and like kind of like young athlete celebrity lifestyle. I think he's a great talking point for that. Specifically, flag on the play, Tate.
Yeah, I'll find myself. Glenn, I was saying, Glenn, your thoughts on what do you think the discussion, if you want to reply to what Steven said, just in general, what do you want to say about
there's a lot to unpack here. to the guy who made the statement about Brian Bosworth, my response immediately when I read that was this: "Hey, yo, Bo knows this and Bo knows that, but Bo don't know Jack because Bo can't rap."
Yeah,
Bo, we all know that Bo ended Brian Bosworth's career in the NFL.
yeah.
So you talk about who was one of the most fleecing players in the NFL at that time, man, coming up was Bo Jackson, arguably the best athlete ever. Arguably, it could be between him and Deion Sanders, but the best overall athlete of all time, man. Bo was great, and he did it in both sports, which was not easy, to do. You were saying something about Michael Jordan, and you were saying like we didn't know how great he was.
No, I was saying we didn't know the real person he was. His persona, his image was very, very crafted.
Very true.
And there were books that came out while he was playing, but a lot of the sources in those books are anonymous, and some of those sources weren't revealed until The Last Dance came out. And what was that, 2020? The people who were given those quotes in those books, nobody knew who they were. So you couldn't really, it created a conversation, but you can't confirm what a person is like based on anonymous sources. When people start saying 20 years later, oh, he was kind of a jerk, and he's a degenerate gambler, like to the extent of those things are hidden, and they're well hidden. Today he could not do that. There's no way he could be that type of person. With the way that media works, someone on his team is actively posting everything that's happening all the time. Somebody.
Well, here's my thing to that. I think a couple of things, right? I don't think it's fair to isolate MJ or characterize him the way that people felt about him when The Last Dance aired, because I think any elite athlete has those exact same characteristics. I think if you go to Magic, you go to Bird, you go to Isaiah, you go to anybody who wanted to win at the highest level, they're going to be a little maniacal about getting there. And that means that they got to step on some toes, hurt some feelings, cut out some players, make demands to some coaches and ownership. They're going to do it. I think his gets a little bit more exacerbated just because of the person that he is and the talent that he portrayed. But I think even when we looked at Kobe, I mean, Kobe was willing to throw Shaq under the bus in order for him to be successful.
Well, I think that's the point. That's the point that I'm making. I'm not indicting the person. What I'm saying is the time and the way technology was, and the lack of platforms and just direct lines to people. It meant that you could craft your image. There's not somebody out with a camera that can see you yelling at Steve Kerr at the team dinner, you know what I'm saying? And they post that online. Nobody knows
that. I don't think you see that now too much. I mean, unless someone, for money, unless someone says, hey, I'm willing to pay X amount of dollars to be able to get that footage, I don't think you can even see that now. Part of the organization, the cultural organization, is they got to be able to be on top of those things to be able to squash what's happening behind closed doors. Every organization wants to keep what's private behind closed, within the frame. Those things, I don't think that because we're living in a social media age today, that it would have been exacerbated back then. I think that the same things that are quelling it now would have quelled it even back then if social media was still out. Would we have seen a little bit more than we probably did? Probably. But I still think that the organization would have quelled it just a little bit more still, what we see today.
Well,
hold on. That I don't disagree with either y'all, but I will say that's in the locker room. Like a few years ago when Draymond Green punched Jordan Crawford in the face, somebody leaked that.
Man, you hate Jordan Poole.
That wasn't supposed to get out there. But when we talk about the accessibility, everybody walking around with a phone in your face, when Jordan and those guys that like to go to those back room gambling spots, rent out the casino back room for big shark games and stuff like that. we would know a lot more about those things than we ever did back then.
And that's what I'm saying. Like if I went to a mobbed up game and Jordan is playing at the game, and I try to tell y'all a week later that happened, y'all are not going to believe me. But if I snap a picture of him and post it on my Instagram and say, "Look who's at the game tonight," I might get beat up later. But like, you know, I have proof that happened. And all I'm saying is that the technology, it just didn't exist back then. And I want to be clear. I'm not just indicting Jordan. I'm not talking about just Jordan. Kobe's a great example. Kobe was, until he had his big scandal, Kobe was really careful about what parts of his persona and image got out into the public. Nobody really knew. People knew that he was very Jordan-like. They knew he was intense.
The difference is Kobe grew up in a family with a dad as a professional athlete.
Yeah, that's
Kobe was more popular. Kobe grew up in Italy. Kobe could speak 3 or 4 different languages. And at the end of the day, from a very, very, very young age, like Michael Jordan wasn't even playing varsity when Kobe was already well known. You know, Kobe's was always all about the game.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So I mean, what I mean to say is, it's like nothing that I learned about Jordan was surprising. Like you said, a lot of guys who are who play at that level, who achieve at that level, some of them are jerks. You know what I'm saying? And it's not surprising that people let you do that because people want to win. You know what I mean? But that's not the point I want to make. Is like, let's talk about Ja. Let's say Ja played in the 90s, right? And he's doing all this fake gangbanging stuff in the background, but there's no social media for him to post it to. Nobody knows at all what's happening. And if the team knows about it, they can hide it. So in this instance, with Ja's situation, the team can't do anything about it. How can they stop him from posting something when it gets uploaded instantly? It's immediately, it's touching all however many million followers he has. Is him in the club with a gun. How does the team stop that? You can't. The only way to stop it is to make that action not be cool. But to him, that's cool. To him, flashing a gun and acting like you're a gangster on Instagram is cool. So he does it. And the point I'm making is, if you go back, you can't do that. There is no platform to do that on. And
I think that just shows the level of immaturity that a lot of players have today versus the maturity that players had back in the day. Culturally, things were still, I mean, because of the family structure, it was a lot different back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s versus how the family culture and structure is in the 2000s and 2010s and 2020s. And so I think that also has a lot to play, a role to play within it as well. You talked about, I know you said that you were a Wizards fan. I want to go back to what happened in 2009 between. That was still during a social media era, but we didn't really know about it until it got leaked into the Washington Post, you know? And I can't remember who leaked it.
You broke up. We're talking about Gilbert Arenas?
You talking about the Gilbert Arenas?
Okay.
Man?
Yeah, okay, Gilbert Arenas and Javaris Crittenden in 2009. We didn't know about that. That was still doing a social media.
I mean, that's still really early, though.
That's the inception. Yeah,
there's no Instagram, there's no Twitter. Facebook is everywhere, but there's still no. To me, the two big ones, Twitter and Instagram. And Instagram didn't really innovate that much from Twitter. It just had a massive user base. So like most of the world was using it at the time. Those two things made it instantly possible to do whatever, to post whatever thought you had on your mind. You know what I mean?
Right.
And for the first time, we saw celebrities start saying, okay, I can use this to make money. You know what I mean? And they started saying, I'm just going to connect directly with my fans, and maybe I can sell some merch, or maybe I can sell this thing that I'm a sponsor of and make more money off that sponsorship. And I think the athletes took notice of it and they started doing it too. I think the big thing to me, I point out the NBA because the NBA has, to me, the most players, period, that are on social media or have like podcasts and shows and stuff like that. And I think the strange thing to me is, and this, I don't know how you feel about this, Kevin, but it's weird to me. The NBA has a ton of guys who are like commenters on the NBA that are active players. And it's like, it's It's weird to me. Maybe it's a new use.
They do that everywhere. That gives you credibility in buying. You watch the football coverage. I mean, you watch Amazon. You got Tony Gonzalez, Richard Sherman, Ryan Fitzpatrick. I mean, every broadcast you watch, you're gonna have former athletes reporting and covering the game.
Okay, right. So to give you a specific example, Micah Parsons, former Dallas Cowboys player, had a very popular podcast, and it was something as a fan, I'm like, yo, what is he doing? Like, you know what I'm saying? Maybe you should be studying the playbook or something or watching film. Why are you doing a podcast, bro? You're a professional athlete. You should go to the gym or something. Damn it. Like, you know what I'm saying? What are you doing a podcast for? Let people who can't do sports at all do podcasts.
No, I agree, but you said the key thing already. Athletes and people, celebrities learned I can make more money from this.
I can make money. Yeah.
You know? But I think at the end of the day, like even Draymond Green had a podcast, Michael Parsons. I think that if you're still in the game, still playing, I think you should be allowed to cover it, but maybe during the season have some self-awareness, how that looks, how people perceive that, because that affects your brand too, right? Like you get money from the podcast, but you're losing.
I don't know how you guys feel about it, but for me, like specifically, like when Pat Bev was on ESPN,
he just got arrested.
Yeah, he did. Wow,
yeah, like last night or past couple of days.
Oh my goodness,
some kind of assault or something.
So when he was showing up on every ESPN show, and he was showing up on podcasts for a while, I thought he had retired, and then I realized no, he's like playing. He played a game last night. It started to me to feel like, because the way he was talking, it felt like professional wrestling a little bit. It felt like, man, you're kind of taking away from the wow. But yeah, I kind of felt like I felt like that kind of commentary takes away from what makes the sport real. If you're gonna get up there, you're an active player. Let's keep it real. You're mid. You're middle of the pack. You're not anywhere. And you talk about all-stars like like you're better than them. You're just talking trash. That just feels like professional wrestling, And it just, to me, it takes away from it. Now, if you want to have like real, like you have a guy like, to me, Gil's podcast. I know Kevin thinks he's a clown. But,
I do too.
But they talk about basketball for the most part. For the most part, they talk about basketball, and he is kind of a guy who is, if you like basketball, his opinion is pretty realistic. You know what I'm saying? I think I don't have a problem with that because, like you said, a person that's played lends credibility. But I don't really want to hear active players dogging other players or dogging their teams and stuff like that. I mean, it's fine if I'm reading it on some blog or whatever like that, but I don't want to hear it from the. I kind of want that to be, I don't know, that I want there to be some type of buffer. You know what I mean? I just want them to just, to some extent, I would like it to be about basketball and football, just to some extent. The drama is some people like it, but it is what it is.
Kevin, I'm going to go back to your initial point. And your initial point of the conversation was the influence that athletes now have on culture. And yeah. I do remember when Laura Berbert made that comment about LeBron, because I can't remember what's happening in the country at the time, but LeBron made a comment. It's probably during President Trump's first term, and he made some type of comment, and she said he ought to just shut up and dribble. And Kobe, when he won his Oscar for Dear Basketball, said, "I'm glad I just didn't shut up and dribble, because this wouldn't have happened." Believe it or not, and I mentioned this even on our podcast, I told you just recently at the beginning of the show that my son was a huge influence for me to do what I do. But honestly, Kobe Bryant was too. And I wasn't the type, I was a fan of Kobe, but I wasn't a Kobe fanatic. Okay. But in my mind was, here is arguably the second, third greatest basketball player, on Mount Rushmore. And he just made a complete pivot from basketball and produced a show that won, a small film that won an Oscar. Now, if this guy who had no background into movie producing can produce the film and win, then me, with my formal education, should be able to produce a podcast that's going to be able to help elite amateur athletes become successful on the field, on and off the field of court. So I wanted to throw that nugget in there, that athletes being influencers in the culture was an influence for me to even do what I do. And so even when I want to quit, I think about what LeBron has been doing, what Kobe did, what Jordan did, what Magic is doing consistently, how they're all just making these pivots into speaking their mind, being able to protest the way that they may want to protest, and to be able to just do something that's completely unrelated to what their craft is. And that's where the real influence comes, because now, and here's what we do too, Kevin, on our platform. Again, we give tips and strategies to help elite amateur athletes achieve their on and off the field of court athletic goals, right? One of the things that we also do is we bring in some of those elite amateur athletes. So what do I mean by that? I just had on our show about a month ago, Chase Griffin. Chase Griffin was a former quarterback, because he just graduated I think last year, but Chase Griffin was a former quarterback for UCLA. Here's a kid that threw for over 10,000 yards in high school, rushed for over 100 touchdowns in high school, gets recruited by all the big programs, right? Goes to UCLA, Chip Kelly recruits him. He never becomes QB1. Does he play? Yes, but he never becomes QB1. Does he transfer? No. What does he do? He leverages his platform, or him being a student athlete, secures over 40 some NIL deals, right? Makes his money, becomes the face of student athletes presenting football, goes to Congress, testify is important, and any type of legislative bills on trying to cut the athlete out of free enterprise. He becomes the face of JB Chase, because of his name is Chase. He becomes the face of JB Chase, and he's now doing stuff for Dell Computers. He's leveraging his NIL to be a major influence, and he's created his own brand. He's created his own companies. He works a 9 to 5, but he's doing all these things on the behalf of supporting student athletes worldwide. That's an example of someone who is younger than all of us, old enough to be our kids. You know what I mean?
Young enough to be our kid.
Yeah, right. Young enough to be our kid. He's younger than Channing, but is using his platform as a student athlete to influence culture, to influence, to elevate his voice, to make some type of change. So it's not even happening on the pro level. It's happening on the collegiate levels because of the space that we're playing in now. And a lot of athletes are doing it. They're finding their niche. They're saying, hey, I might be good in football, basketball, baseball, softball, track and field, lacrosse, soccer. But here's what else is important to me. And you're right too, Stephen, when you said, okay, the power of social media. Now I'm on Twitter. Now I'm on Instagram, and I'm showing you what I'm doing. I'm telling you how I feel. And what is that? They can't be too vocal because they're still student athletes in college, but they can push the bar just enough because they have a certain level of following. Coach is not going to cut them from the team. You see what I'm saying? They don't have to even be starters, but they got to be someone that has a lot of influence.
Agree.
And all it takes is to be able to say one thing, man. And now you've got, X amount of Twitter followers or Instagram followers that's going to be siding with you and can possibly be a disruptor.
No, then that's great. We could go on and on. We'll talk about this more in future shows, but we've reached a little over the hour mark. We're losing some audience because it's college football time. So we're gonna tap one out of here. But real quick, just want to ask you guys. We didn't even get to talk about the individuals that I had singled out. If you saw the cover graphic, we had Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Caitlin Clark, Venus Williams, Steph Curry, Patrick Mahomes. You know, because those individuals are doing stuff that they want to do, and they're able to do it now with no kickback, no noise, no, you shouldn't be doing that. I think that's the thing with the social media, and the ability to influence is athletes and professionals can be who they truly want to be, who they truly are. They don't
Right.
have to act a certain way because of an endorsement deal or anything like that. So we'll get into that on another show. Thanks, Claude, for tapping in. Claude says, great show. Definitely appreciate the homie Claude. Is with us on all our different shows and stuff we do. We love Claude around here. But lastly, Steph Curry just recently broke up with Under Armour. Steph's been Under Armour for, man, probably about 14, 15 years, I would imagine. What do you guys think he does next? As far as endorsing an athletic shoe, he start his own thing. What do you think he does? Real quick.
Well, I think he's really big into golf right now. I mean, he actually gave some money, I think, to Howard University, to their golf team, and is promoting them too. So, I mean, that's just another example that, hey, you know, I mean, obviously he's playing golf, but his first love is basketball. But he's getting to a lot of other nuances as well.
Curry's gonna retire. And he's gonna do the Kobe. He's gonna and what Michael did. He's gonna do like Tag Heuer and what's the other real high end watch company. He'll do Calvin Klein. He'll do Calvin Klein stuff like that. You know, all that older athlete stuff. He'll do all of those things. I don't think he needs Under Armour. I mean, that deal was huge, and like you said, he had it for like 15 years. I think Under Armour is looking at it as, all right, we got to go younger for sure, because I think their entire line was starting to get a little bit up there in age. If you looked at all of the people that they had signed.
So yeah, I agree. You guys went post basketball. I was just wondering, do you think he signed with another athletic?
Oh no, I think he's gonna retire. So no, I don't think so.
I think Steph is going to retire. He's not retired. He just signed like another 2-year deal last year.
Isn't that the LeBron deal where you get the player option at the end of every year, at the end of each year?
You get to that point. You can. It could be a thing. I don't know.
I mean, I feel like, here's the thing about Steph. Steph's one of the best players ever, but he also happened to have his career at the same time as LeBron. So some chunks of his career are just erased because LeBron was happening. You know what I'm saying?
LeBron was happening, but LeBron is like in the league 5-6 years before Steph.
I mean, I agree, but that's I just feel like, I don't know,
maybe 4 or 5 years. But yeah, no. So, and the last couple of guys you mentioned, we talked about Kobe and Steph. I really didn't like them as young players, but I appreciate them a lot more the older they got. Respect them a lot more and revere those guys as athletes now. So
can I say this? As a young man, as like a teenager, when it was starting to come out how Kobe was, and there was the rift between Shaq, I did not like him. As an older man, I do actually like Kobe. I respect it all because it's like,
I agree.
I understand. I get it. All of it I get. It's, you don't have to do it that way, but like if that's your guy and that's who you clicked up with, then you just do it his way. You know what I'm saying? And you'll probably just win.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, to me, the alternative is don't be on the team. Go to a different team and play with somebody who doesn't act like that. But it's like, you probably aren't gonna win.
Go play with James Harden.
Yeah. Yeah, go play. You'll never win.
With that being said, fellas, man, great show. Thanks for tapping in. Glenn, we love having you, man. You're welcome back anytime. We're going to transition this show maybe as soon as next week to Thursday evenings around 9:15 Eastern time. So if you have those time slots available anytime you want to join us, you're more than welcome. Steven, 9:15, man, probably don't got to worry about you being late. I wouldn't.
I'm in the house. I'm in the house after 9 on a Wednesday. And,
but yeah,
it's not like I'm not like I used to be, Kevin. It ain't no.
Oh yeah, I already know. I know how old you are. I know. We worked together 12, 13 years ago, so I knew young Steven. Now Steven's still young to me, but just because I'm so older, now you getting to be old Steven. You going into your 40s, Steven.
Yeah, I'm saying.
Oh wow.
I'm saying goodbye to my 30s. It's a year mourning, is what it is.
Oh wow.
My 30s,
Man,
my
I wanna
30s
go
were
back to them
my
years.
30s were dope.
Right.
My 30s have been dope. So we're it's a celebration. We're
Yeah,
gonna celebrate my 30s all year.
Me and Glenn up there did some hanging in our 30s.
We did some hanging in our 30s, man. I
Back-
wish I could go back.
Back in the day.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, everybody, thanks for tapping in for this episode of JAG2G. It's been a great show. Always appreciate the discussion with the guys. That's what it's really all about. We didn't talk about scores and games and tackles and dunks. We talked about, stuff that's about the game but outside the game. That's what we're here for every week, once a week. So thanks for tapping in. With that being said, for Tate, for Glenn, for the homie Steven, we out until next time. Thanks for tapping in. Peace.
All right, thanks, guys.
Let's go.
Mamba out.
Y'all come back now. Here.